Welcome to Revive Hi-Fi Canada, where we discuss and talk about different types of speakers, amps, DACs, all types of audio equipment that you might find used and new in your area, just to grow interest in what we consider one of the great hobbies that we have gotten into. And we've listened to probably thousands and thousands of speakers and different types of amps, so we hope that maybe you can get information about some of these items and audio equipment on our channel, and also just enjoy. And what we do is we typically have a commentary about or discussion about the given speaker or amp, and then we play some musical samples that we have. And today we're featuring the Boston Acoustics A120. I love Boston Acoustics. I'm a huge fan of their speakers. I've had several over the past decade. Those include the Boston A40, which is one of my all-time favorite speakers, a bookshelf speaker, and the Boston CR9, which was another highlight speaker that, which essentially I think was a flagship speaker in that particular series. So this is the same series as the Boston A40, and they had the A70, the A60. I believe they had the A100. I'm not quite sure of all the numbers after that, but this is the Boston A120, and this is a very interesting speaker because this is a great example of it. It has in impeccable condition that I got this one. And at first I looked at this and I thought, wow, this is a three-way speaker. This is gonna sound pretty awesome. I like a lot of different three-way speakers that are out there, and the reason for that we can discuss on other videos, but that they separate the different types of instruments and frequencies quite efficiently when the crossover is done well on a three-way speaker. But in this case, that is a 10-inch, it appears to be a woofer, but is actually a passive radiator. And what I mean by that is that the Boston A series, at least the A40 and the A120 that I've had, these are both sealed boxes. So there is no port in the back or in the bottom or on the front that gives that extra bass boost. So these are sealed boxes, and I really like many sealed boxes like the NHT and the Boston A40 that I've had. And also I've had a pair of KEF K120s that we're going to talk about later on the channel. These are very interesting. These are made in the United States. That is a 10-inch radiator. That is a passive radiator. That is no power going to that driver, from my understanding, at the bottom. So it's got a tweeter at the top, and it's a dome tweeter, soft dome tweeter, and a 6.5-inch driver that's powered in the mid, but the bass is not your typical powered three-way speaker. It's kind of like a pseudo looking three-way speaker, so it's really a two-way speaker with a passive radiator. So that was surprising when I looked at it. These are 8 ohms. I don't have much information in terms of sensitivity. They don't really have anything about, I haven't been able to find much about frequency response in terms of public literature. I do, just from listening impressions is what we're going to talk about here. And the build quality. The build quality is excellent. I think it's from the time of speaker that they come from. I think, in the 80s, 90s, they built these very well. This is golden age, 70s, 80s, 90s, a lot of great speakers and great amps came out of that era. And yeah, these are great in great condition considering their age. So I'll start with the highs. The dome tweeter, maybe it's age, or I don't find that I listen to a lot of speakers, so you have to take this from, it's all relative, right? So these don't bring out the detail. They do to some degree. They do bring out the detail, but I don't feel like they're as good as what I had on my Boston A40s, the 13-inch bookshelf speaker with the sealed box from the same series. It has a 6.5-inch woofer similar to the Boston A40, but these, like the mid-range is really good on these. The voices sound really good. The highs, I would say, are, you know, they do come out in some, you do hear the detail. But I mean, I've been listening to so many speakers lately that I can't rank these extremely high. Even there, again, a soft dome tweeter. I discussed recently the Wharfdale Diamond 12.1 soft dome tweeter, and that's something else. And I mean, these are quite old, so I guess that could be, it could be an age thing, it could be a tech thing, of course, but these are not quite as clear. But you know, if you were to not have the dome, if you just compare to the similar age, the Boston A40 tweeter I thought sounded better. The mid sounded about the same on these as the Boston A40. Really, this is a Boston A40 with a 6.5-inch woofer and a dome tweeter sitting on top of a 10-inch radiator. And I think that's where this speaker maybe was trying to go for a heavier bass version of a Boston A40 in a bigger box with the 10-inch passive radiator. But at the expense, that bass may come at, and it does have a more bass, but it may come at the expense of the highs and the mids. So just to give you a bit of an idea, so I'm playing music, you know, we played the Rolling Stones on this, you know, Don't Get Angry With Me on this, and we've heard recently the Altec Lansing 103, and that was much clearer with the drivers working together in the three-way. And this one, yeah, this had the highs and the mids, and you could hear them if you went right up to the speaker. But then if you step back and you have the 10-inch radiator, the lows bled into the highs and the mids. So they're almost competing, because that is not a controlled driver with a crossover that's feeding feeding the correct frequencies to that low 10-inch driver. So it just does what it wants to down there, and it bled into what the nice mids and highs that I'm used to hearing from Boston acoustic speakers. So it sounds perfectly acceptable, this speaker, but it's definitely not there with some of the others that we've tried. Definitely not. And yeah, it wasn't quite there. So not what I was expecting from Boston Acoustics, considering how much I love the other speakers that I've had from them. I still consider the Boston A40 was the second speaker that I ever got, next to the JBL S26 II, and I loved those. So I truly loved. They sounded way bigger than they were. These, on the other hand, they don't sound that big for the size that they are. To be honest, that bass that comes out of the 10-inch driver is messy, because it's not an active driver, and it actually doesn't sound very substantial. It's just enough to muffle out the mids and the highs that are coming from the rest of the speaker. Yeah, sure, the sound stage, they do sound pretty big, right? They sound big, but they sound messy, and the highs, they sound really nice and soft, and you can listen to them for a long period of time. They do think they don't have the detail, all the detail. They do have it. They don't lose a ton, but then at the same time they're getting muffled out by that driver is actually a double-edged sword, because it's giving you more bass, but at the expense of clean sound. So I'm a big fan of clean sound, and these didn't quite do it for me. I'm going to, you know, the imaging is good. If that 10-inch radiator wasn't there, it becomes similar to a Boston A40, and it sounds really good. But that driver, like I said, it's doing a bit of harm and good at the same time. So it depends what you like. It depends, I think, about the type of music that you like. So if you like, you know, more acoustic sounding music, I think these are okay. But if you like more complicated sounding music, that's where that driver is going to wreck the good work that the tweeter and the mid-range are doing. So that's pretty much what I have to say about this speaker. It drives pretty easily with most amplifiers. It's yeah, it's too bad. I love Boston Acoustics, but this one, yeah, I love my Boston A40s. It's an all-time favorite of mine, so I was really excited to try these. So I'm gonna play a few samples as we always do on this channel. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next time. And if you like what we have on the channel, please subscribe. Thank you. See you next time. Bye.
What's up is down, what's left is right. Chasing stars and holding you. I can't see the end, but we'll see it through. Times don't fly too high. Be sure to keep the ground in sight. Fly forever if you keep it tight. Love the world but keep the sky in mind.